Welcome back to Smart Architectural Programming. In today's video, part of our Introduction to Java series, we're diving into the two powerful keywords in Java, abstract and final keywords. These are essential for you to understand, to deepen your understanding and control over Java fundamentals. Whether you're just starting out or reviewing the fundamentals, understanding these keywords is essential for writing clean, structured, and robust Java code. But with everything, like in all of our videos, first you need to understand what abstract keyword is in Java before we move to the final keyword. So abstract keyword in Java can be applied to classes and methods. But what does it actually mean in that capacity, right? So as you can see here, an abstract class, as we're talking about here, So an abstract class that you can see here is a class that cannot be instantiated directly. It's like a blueprint meant to be extended by other classes, right? So I think we've covered this in quite detail. You've noticed that we created an animal class every time, and then we extended that animal class to be more specific. It basically means that animal class is the abstract class, which is usually used as a blueprint to extend other classes, more specific classes that we actually use, but is never used itself, as you can see here in the code base here as well. But what adding this abstract would mean is that it cannot be directly used. In previous ways, when we were defining animal, it could be directly defined. But in this case, when we use the abstract keyword here, we're not allowing it to be instantiated or built into an object directly, right? So that is what it means here. Here, animal is abstract. You can't create an object of it like new animal, as we can, but you can extend it, as you can see here with the dog class. That is extending this here, right here. So the dog class provides an implementation for the abstract method, make sound function, right? Sounds simple enough, and that's basically what an abstract class is by definition. But what is an abstract method, right? When you talk about abstract method, it is a method declared without a body. It's short to be overridden by a subclass. Doesn't make much sense. Think of it like a promise that the subclass must keep, right? That somewhat clarifies it a little bit, but what is its purpose? What is the use case? Abstract classes are often used when you have shared functionality, but still want to enforce custom behavior in a child class, right? Make sense? Does it make sense? Let's move on. When we'll go into more depth into the use cases and actually use abstract methods, maybe it would give you a little more clarity. So what is the final keyword? It's at this point, just understanding what abstract methods and classes is more than enough for you to move forward. So let's move into the final keyword, right? What is the final keyword in Java? The final keyword in Java is used to restrict change. It can be applied to variables, methods, and classes. We'll focus on methods and classes for this particular video. So the final class is a class that cannot be extended. It's a closed book, right? So as you can see here, we have a final class here. Final keyword is used in front of this class, and it's math utils, which square function here. But as you can see below, when we extend this math utils, even after the final keyword, extend this into my utils, it's going to raise an error because this is not particularly allowed in this particular class, considering we've used the final keyword. It cannot be extended. Unlike the previous class, abstract classes that were just made for being extended, the final class is not made to be extended at all. Trying to extend it will usually result in a compile time error. Use final when you want to prevent inheritance and protect the implementation of your code. So it's used when you don't want to allow any inheritance of your class. So then we have final method as well. So what is a final method? It is a method that cannot be overridden in a subclass. So the final, so the abstract method was something that was made to be overridden, but the final method was made so that it cannot be overridden. So these two are like diametrically opposed to each other to a degree, right? As you can see here, we have a class vehicle final void start engine. We are using the final keyword in this method here to make sure that it cannot be overridden. If you try to overwrite the start engine method, in a subclass, Java won't allow you to do that. This is great when you want to lock down behavior that should never change in your code. So now that we have that basic understanding, let's summarize the key differences between them in this table here. So a quick comparison between abstract, as you can see here, and final, as you can see here. Can they be instantiated, which means can they be used to create new objects? With abstract, no, you cannot do that. With final keyword, it allows you to create objects based on that blueprint. Can they be extended, right? With abstract, yes, they can be extended. With final, no, you cannot extend final keyword used classes. Can they be overridden? In abstract classes, yes, they can be overridden, but in final classes, they cannot be overridden. So ultimately, you need to understand abstract is there to enforce a certain contract, and final is there to protect an implementation of that class. Basically, that is the quick gist of both of these keywords. Some of the best practices that you might want to keep in mind and tips when you're using these two keywords. Use abstract when you want to define a common interface for subclasses. Right? You have multiple subclasses, but you want to have a common root between those subclasses because they have a lot of commonality in between them. But you don't want that commonality or commonality root to be actually be able to accessible to other people. So that's when you or be used directly. So that's when an abstract keyword is used. Use final to prevent accidental modification or inheritance. You use final to stop any modification of a particular class, method, or object that you create, so it is not modified, or there's not inheritance created between that object and another object. And finally, never mix abstract and final on the same class or method. It's a contradiction and it's going to raise an error. As you can see in this code base here, we're using abstract and final here, which is not allowed, and it's going to raise an error. Remember, Java is strict about its design rules, and these keywords help enforce clean architecture for your code. Thanks for watching Smart Architectural Programming. My bad, my tongue got a little stuck there. If you found this video helpful, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so when you know when new videos come in, and you're able to learn more about Java and let your friends know about it as well. And don't forget, this is just one video in our Introduction to Java series. Check out the full book for in-depth exercises and real-world projects that would help better your understanding of Java and knowledge about Java. Until next time, keep learning and keep coding.